Hey, what's up you guys, it's IAmTheLionRider, and in today's video I thought I would go over the newly announced Twilight Pack for Planet Zoo. So, in today's video I basically just wanted to rant, because I don't know what I'm gonna say, it's just gonna ramble, but it's mostly just kinda analyzing the pack and my very, very conflicted feelings on the pack. Because I don't want to say it's a bad pack, I have no idea yet. It's just definitely not what anyone was expecting. So you may have seen that like other people probably covered like the last few days of content, and I thought I could probably just work it all into today's video, and so that's what I thought I would do. Because I think that this update is going to be both good and bad for the game depending on how you kind of look at it. So first things first, we'll talk about, you know, the actual pack. So the pack is going to be what we thought was like a nocturnal theme, and it kind of is. It's the Twilight theme, which is kind of like a vague-ish conservation, wetlands, like not really like a real theme. And it's just to tie in a few different animals. So they kind of highlighted all of these yesterday on the live stream with Tim and Jens, and it was a pretty, you know, interesting stream. I think it was very, very similar to the release of Europe. It was, you know, a story, and they kind of teased all the animals that way. But I think what a lot of people weren't expecting, myself included, was this was going to be a scenery pack, because this kind of breaks the unofficial fan rule that we kind of set, which was that it's always going to, from this point on, go animal pack scenery, animal pack scenery. Now it looks like it's going to be more like a mix. And I think the thing that was kind of highlighted in this pack that we can hop over to the official forum post to kind of analyze is, I think we kind of know what the next pack is, and it has to do with a certain animal that they included in this pack. And so, what are the animals in the pack? So the first thing is the raccoon. The raccoon is going to be the kind of headliner for the pack. And I like the raccoon. I think it's a pretty good animal. I think, you know, raccoons fit the nocturnal theme excellent. They have a lot of cool, unique animations. I love how they, I don't have it pulled up right now, but they added a new trash mechanic. So like raccoons can like probably go and eat out of the trash. That's kind of a cool and cute little thing. They have the wombat, which wombat, very, very highly requested animal. I'm very happy with that. I wanted to get it officially. I'm glad it's a common wombat, because even though I really liked my hairy nose wombat mod, the common wombat mod I was never really satisfied with, so I'm glad we got that officially. Of course, then we have the two that I'm not as sure are as well received. One of them just straight up is seemingly hated, which is funny to me due to another circumstance. But the striped skunk, I think, was a weird pick, because no one really asked for it, but everyone, I give it the Nile Lechwe syndrome, where it's like, everyone didn't ask for it, but they're like, well, it's not that bad. It's kind of fine, you know. No one thought of it, but it's okay, and it kind of fits the theme. Now, I think people were more okay with it when it was under the assumption this was an animal pack, and they were like, oh, okay, so we're probably still gonna get like the Tasmanian devil and Fusa and like the other nocturnal animals. Now it's not, you know. Now I'm not sure. Seemingly general reception is very, very mixed from the get-go. Some people absolutely despise it. Some people are absolutely loving it. But I feel like that is seemingly the reaction to pretty much every update lately. But the one thing that I think a lot of people are a bit iffy on is the inclusion of the red fox, because yes, I'll even say it at the frontier. What is your obsession with canines? And specifically foxes and wolves. This is now the third fox. It's kind of ridiculous at this point. Now, in defense of their decision making, I kind of blame the community a little bit, and more importantly, I blame the meta wish list and the way it was set up, because the red fox is a remnant of the meta wish list from probably about a year and a half ago, and at the time, the red fox was it was pushed higher and higher or whatever as things got, you know, more and more, you know, less North American centric. Then North America dropped and we got the Arctic fox. But they didn't take the red fox off the list, so it just kept getting pushed up. And to the point where now I think the red fox is it was in like the top 10. So I can't say I'm surprised by it, but I think anyone, you know, it's common sense. It's not actually that sought after now that we have the red fox and the fennec fox and, you know, everything else associated with it. But the big thing that I think a lot of people are excited about, of course, is the Egyptian fruit bat. So, this is our first flying animal in the game, and it's the first exhibit mammal, technically. Also, the first exhibit animal that breaks a lot of stuff, like, rules that we had. Like, it's not in an exhibit box that's a traditional size. However, I think this comes with a few caveats that are a bit interesting. So, first things first. This is going to be great for modding, and this is the worst case scenario for modding. And that's what I'm not really that happy about. The big thing that I don't like, it's a walkthrough exhibit, which sounds great, right? You know, like, I've been to many zoos with Egyptian fruit bats with a walkthrough exhibit. Franklin Park's a great example. Awesome, they're an awesome animal. At the same time, that is only good in a situation like Franklin Park, where it's a free-flying dome. And obviously this is a hallway, so it's not quite the same. But it's also 20 meters by 12 meters by 8 meters. So a lot of people just kind of like, you know, brush that under the rug like, oh, it's not a big deal. For perspective, here's our good old buddy Steve Irwin, right? Here's the makeshift example of what the average Planet Zoo character is. This is how big the Batcave is. That's a pretty big box to put bats that I assume are probably about the size of this bracket piece. That's probably about the size of the bat. So first things first, I really hope that we get a few hundred of them, or else it's not going to look right. Or let's say it really is like only like the you know 6 or something. That's going to look really weird. But again, I think it's a you know, the give and take of the situation. It's very similar to how I felt about the Siamang and the brachiation frames. I know I didn't really like cover that too much in the video, but like I had a lot of issues with the brachiation in the game because of how just big the climbing frames are, and I feel like this is a very similar situation. Modding wise, I can make the box invisible. That's not an issue at all. It's just, let's say you want a reasonably sized, you know, enclosure for them. I'd say this is about the right size. They're just going to be flying in and out of the walls and stuff and clipping all over the place, anywhere within this invisible box. So, it's not super ideal. Now, on the plus side, first things first, they look amazing. I love the way they look. They look aesthetically pleasing. They're really good-looking Egyptian flying foxes. They're also really difficult to animate, so I think from that perspective, it's going to be good. And the good news, I can always just take these out, you know, in their individual poses and just make them into props. So if you're fine with that, that's also, you know, a good consolation for the situation. However, this also leads to what I think is the obvious thing, which is we're probably getting birds in the next update. I think that's pretty safe to say at this point that this is how they want to do aviaries. It's going to be a walkthrough aviary, and it's going to be, you know, different types of birds that just free fly around this, I assume, probably similar sized area. And they might have a smaller one, but this is going to be how they do aviaries going forward. And so I think it's safe to say, for a few reasons now, that that is the December update. I think one of the other factors here is if we got a prop update last time and a prop update this time, it's possible that they were doing that because they're intending on doing an animal pack for the birds, which would make perfect sense. We do like 8 birds or something. Or more, you know, depending, because they're kind of going to be exhibit animals probably, so maybe that's the case. Maybe it's a half and half approach. Maybe it's like 4 habitat birds, and it's like stuff like emu and kiwi, a penguin, and like American flamingo, and then they do, you know, 4 exhibit birds or something. You know, it could, and they could do it that way. I'm not really sure, but let's go on to the next thing, which is the scenery. Scenery, I'm not really sold on. It's very Planko. It's very theme parky. It's supposed to be Romanian and like very Halloweeny. It's fine. I think it's not that bad. It's okay. You know, I like the it's some of the stuff is a little weird. I think that's supposed to be a wombat gargoyle. So that's something. The dead trees and stuff, they're a bit stylized for my liking, but dead trees are always welcome. The new foliage looks really good. I love the new pine trees and the new trees. They look awesome. And even though, you know, a lot of this stuff is already in existing mod packs, like this fence and stuff is in European Midnight, the leaves on the ground, if they're flexicolor, that's awesome. Then we get official flexicolor leaves, and that's going to be really, really helpful for everyone. The rest of the stuff, it's a bit, like I said, it's a bit over-themed for Halloween. Great for Halloween zoos. If you want to do a Halloween zoo, kind of like I did way back in the day, that's going to be great. But it's a little bit, you know, over-themed, I think. I don't think the gargoyles are going to be that appealing to that many people. But we will have to see about that. They have these little, like, eyes that glow in the dark, and I did see they do have this. It's implied that this is rock work. I'm not sure if this is part of the Batcave, if this is all just the Batcave model, or if these are going to be placeable. I'm thinking they might just be part of the Batcave, and the stalagmites and stuff aren't actually part of the pack. But at the same time, it said there's about 200 items, and as we all know, the trailers don't always show that. So let's go over onto the Steam page and actually look at some of these photos, because we get a better view of some of these things. So first things first, the raccoons look awesome. I really didn't have a doubt that the raccoons were going to look good, because raccoons are a really cool animal, and I think that Frontier did a really good job. They've been really, like, kind of knocking it out of the park with the fur lately, so that was going to be the main thing. And it looks like they got the proportions right and stuff. Like, I'm not seeing, like, any distortions in, like, the animation, so that looks really cool. You can kind of see the dead trees. Like I said, I think they're a bit too Planet Coaster-y. There's a very similar prop in Planet Coaster. It's like a dead Halloween spooky tree, and it seems very similar to this one. But the new pines are great. Really like those. Obviously the Batcave. So actually it looks like maybe the stalagmites are placeable, because at first I thought that this area was going to be where the stalagmites are, because I can see them here. But they're probably placeable, and it looks like maybe it's just a big empty box for the most part for the Egyptian fruit bats. So then, again, a mix of stuff. This rockwork is really good. It's also a bit hard to tell what the pieces are going to actually look like individually, because it's all just kind of mushed together. And I love the torches. The torches look really good. But again, it comes down to, this pack is very similar to Arctic Pack. That was very, like, Christmassy and Nordic and stuff. It's a little over-themed, I think. And it's not going to really be as appealing to your average realistic zoo builder. This is a very fantastical pack. So the last thing I just wanted to cover is the actual update, because I think that is where this actual update in general to the game is going to be at its best. Stuff I really like. I really like this educator exhibit animal. It's basically the ambassador animals that we've always wanted. It's a little bit different than we thought. We thought it was going to be for stuff like some of the smaller animals that you often might see as ambassador animals, specifically mammals. But I'm actually fine with it being the exhibit animal stuff, because it makes a little bit more sense. So you're going to have all the turtles and snakes and frogs and stuff as exhibit ambassador animals, and I think that's really good. Similarly, there's a little bit of quality of life update. So for instance, they're just going to make it so that the exhibit backdrops, which previously you could make a backdrop, have a screen or something to make a fake background for a billboard or something. Now they're just going to make that a feature. I think that's always good. They're going to improve the cameras, which I think is really useful, because for a while now, if you place down an exhibit camera, it's not the best. But now you're probably going to get a better view of the animals. The big thing that I think a lot of people are excited about is the biome skirts. I'll have to see how they work, but yeah, that is a really good for new maps. It's going to allow a lot more variation if we can get different mountain or plains thing. I think everyone doesn't like the Tuscany look for the temperate map, so that'd be cool if we could just get a general forest or like even mountains or something. City background would be awesome, but we'll have to see how that plays out. Again, there's no images or anything. There is a new piebald variation thing for a select few of the animals, the Nyala, pronghorn, and springbuck. I don't even know if they're really going to use it for any of the other animals that like are in the new pack. To my knowledge, you know, I don't know if I mean I know there's albinism for raccoons and foxes, but I don't really think that, you know, either, and skunks for that matter. But I don't really think that any of those have piebald effects. Maybe the skunk. And then finally, the animal escape behavior. Of course, this is really designed for the raccoon, I feel, like, so it can loot through trash, but they added it for all the other animals. Which brings us to a thing that I should mention modding-wise. Yeah, mods are breaking. I have no doubt about that. Mods are absolutely breaking this update. Specifically animals, I think, whether it be for the new behavior, the piebald effect, or a few other things, I think that those are reasons I think it's safe to say that the animals are going to be breaking. Now, as far as scenery, I'm a bit iffy on it just because of a few things. So the big thing that I'm a bit worried about is the escape behavior. The last time we had a similar effect, it was the sniffing behavior with the bloom and stuff, and that did end up breaking the scenery, as well, plants specifically, as well as the animals. So I think it is possible that bins and stuff of that nature, maybe in packs like European Midnight and Safari and stuff, they might be broken. So take that with a grain of salt. But yeah, so I want your opinions on everything, because I think the big thing here that I'm a bit worried about, we only knew up until content 12. So this is content 11, obviously, and as I stated before, content 12 is very likely going to be the bird update. After that, we are not really sure about the future of Planet Zoo, because a lot of people are saying that, you know, oh, they said they're giving content into 2023. They said fiscal year 2023, technically December's update is fiscal year 2023. I do think they're going to continue, only because I think it'd be really, 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 really bad if they ended on, like, the skunk and raccoon update as the final one before birds, and then that was where we were cut dry. But at the same time, I am a bit worried with updates like this, because this means that we got essentially 4 animals that weren't the highest, you know, demanded animals, but the meta wish list is still chock full of a ton of really popular ones that at this point we may or may not get just because of the development life cycle. So, unfortunately, the best way to do it is, and it kind of isn't ideal, but you kind of have to buy this DLC to give Frontier money to say we still want more Planet Zoo, and that's the only way we're going to get more content. So, I'm sorry, that's just how it is. But, like I said, let me know about your opinions on the update, because I am, again, very conflicted about it. But we will see how it is. I will probably be covering some of the other animals and stuff later as they get revealed next week. But thank you all for watching today's video, and I will see you next time. Bye, everyone.